All right, so we'll call the meeting to order and go ahead with roll call.
Councilmember Hogan.
Present.
Councilmember Moore.
Present.
City Administrator Larson is absent. Public Works Director McBee.
Present.
Engineer Hungerford.
Okay. Do we have any public comments for the record?
No.
Okay, thank you. Building Department.
Can I ask a question about the minutes?
Certainly.
So this was right behind the minutes. Brian, is this gonna be behind the minutes all the time, or is this an agenda item you want to speak?
That is for the Twenty-Three Master Plan and Design, Councilmember Moore had requested a copy of the launch.
Right, so we're gonna get that, I mean, you're gonna send that out once a month type of thing with Public Works? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
It's not a part of the official thing.
Yeah,
right, okay,
this information that Councilmember Moore would like to see.
okay. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
The pilot sludge thickening trial report, is it on the agenda or?
It is just information that was included in the RFP, sorry, the invitation to bid.
Oh, okay. Oh, to show them what they're dealing with? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So to go back, yes, my intent was, and I think I had requested that these become part of the meeting minutes in an effort to track it, to see that we're either improving or not improving, that was the intent.
Okay.
And this one is from September. Do we have one for this month?
No.
Okay.
This is,
Yes. No, so this is a printout of the status of the system on the day that it was printed on September 3rd.
Sorry.
So if we had one this morning, say, then we could look at this and say, okay, a lot of these have resolved themselves and know that we're making progress.
If I could make a suggestion, would you be okay with us just putting those reports on the website somewhere so they're not embedded into the minutes? Under like Public Works, wastewater on our page, and then we can put all of those SCADA monthly reports on there.
I don't see why that would be.
I don't have a problem with that. That'd be, that's fine.
We do that with financial reports and
Yeah.
other kinds. Our public comments have their own section and things like that, so
And save a lot of paper too.
it'd be easier for someone to find it if they were looking for it.
Sure.
Try to
Yeah,
find
that's
it in
fine.
the minutes.
If we could get a copy of it though, even if it's not in the minutes, in the meetings, so that we can look at that. Because I have a couple questions that are probably not that big a deal, but just for clarification.
Today's meeting.
Well, we don't have it for today, and I presume you probably can't pull it up, or can you?
No, so pull out right off the bat.
Okay.
So we're good with the minutes then? And we'll
Um,
just call this,
Yeah, we don't sign them, so.
Right.
I just kind of
okay,
glazed over it. Okay. So we're good to move on?
yes, please.
Uh, Building Department, round 2.
Good afternoon. So you'll notice that we have a little less building permits going out during the month of September. KB Homes ran into a snafu in regards to their energy codes for their home. They did something that nobody else has done. They were going to do the homes as performance-based rather than just prescriptive. The company that was hired to handle that went out of business. They no longer have the software to verify the energy code. So they basically have to go back to square one. I spoke with a number of other municipalities, and I also talked with Wazoo, since they are the energy, and they're like, we've never seen anybody do a residential home unless it was a massive home prescriptive. Performance based. So now they're having to rework their paperwork and going back to prescriptive, which probably saves them a ton of money doing it that way. So you'll see that 11 permits went out. We've had 18 reviews. We're still dealing with change of occupancy out at the soldiers' home. As usual, a lot of this time of year, people having their furnaces redone, hot water tanks redone. So we have that. Currently, we have six projects in the queue for review. 216 active permits, one permit, which actually that permit just went out. That was a fill-in lot for a new residential home that went out today. We had 57 inspections and we currently have 12 code enforcement projects that the code enforcement officers working on. So things are moving along, they're doing a pretty good job keeping the streets clean out there at Bridgewater. So no issues. That's a good thing.
Question on the prescriptive versus performance-based. Are they doing like the passive home pressurizing, pressure test, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's pretty much across the board. Whether you're doing a performance or prescriptive, they still have to do that.
Okay. And then how's the soldiers' home going? How's that project?
It's going. They had issues with their architect engineer. So now they had to switch to somebody totally different. And so they're working through the process.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
I like this.
Okay. Admin for the telemetry master plan and design.
I'll take that one. Back. In your packet, you can see the list of alarms. And they're looking for a 30-day period. Gwen's actually working from parametrics, pulling that updated report, as we speak, so. I should be able to get to you probably tomorrow. Do you have any questions?
Do. There's a lot of the red ones in here are related to the chlorinator low limit. Can you fill us in on what that is?
So, any of those ones that are gonna be like a low limit would be most likely a air bubble or something going on with the pump. So where the staff have to go out, purge the lines, get it refined and, listen to it. Yeah, that does happen frequently. It's not uncommon with a liquid chlorine type of bleach to get air bubbles in the hunting equipment itself. They are all equipped with, air degassing valves, but sometimes those do stick and require cleaning.
And then the HDWK influent level control. What is that?
If you can give me the date.
September 2nd, 10:26 a.m.
That works. Yeah, just the Headworks had, looks like an influent level controller. The way that we've set up the Headworks as well is, if there's a tower failure down there at the Headworks, it automatically will trigger us an alarm. It used to not do that. But that particular one has to do with the flow coming into the plant. I don't have anything specific on that one.
Okay, does the automation have a backup generator?
Yes, automation does have a backup generator. We don't necessarily use control. We,
I presume it's the 8-second kickover that's spiking that. Okay.
and depending on what day of the week that fell, it may be on our generator runtime testing as well.
Okay, how often do you guys do that? Once a month?
Gets run once a week, typically on Wednesdays.
Okay, Because I noticed that alarm a few times was repeating. And so,
Generator running.
right. And it's within a minute of that, so that, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'll take a look at this later. And touch base if I have any more questions, but thank you for providing that.
What you will see, in that initial area, you'll see, and we'll use the Headworks influent level control, that would be the tag name in the system. There may be some more information that we can get from those tag names, but some of them may not give us all of the information that we need right off the tag name itself. Anything that gets called out through Win 911 to the operations staff as high priority, read the critical priority and the urgent ones, those ones all come out and they will actually say HDWK influent level control alarm. And then the staff has to acknowledge every single one of them through the 911. And then we'll move one to the next one and address all of those issues that we come on. I did see a trend of about 10 to 20 different alarms and notifications that we receive pretty much every day that staff is getting. From an intrusion to a generator running, generator turned back off from its normal runs, stuff along the lines that we expect to see.
Okay. Does this come via Excel or is this embedded spreadsheet?
Comes through Excel.
Is it possible to get a copy of that in Excel, electronic copy?
I think so. We'll work with Glenn.
Just to make it, throw an auto filter on it and then look and then sort them based on what alarms and see. That'd make it easier to just get to the point and ask a question about a specific alarm that's repetitive and sounds like you've already kind of you already know what's going on with it, so it's good to fill in the blank. Okay,
Yeah, I usually go up, me personally, I usually go up to the plant on Fridays, talk with my staff, take a look at the screen, see if there's anything that I need to be aware of, if they haven't already told me throughout the week, and 9 times out of 10, it's all pretty regular standard stuff for us.
anything else on that?
Not for me, so.
Okay, we'll move on to engineering. Probably just if there's any changes, otherwise I think we're good.
Okay, yeah, on Watchdog Dispatches, we did an internal 30%, got it this morning, so we're going through internal QC on that. Then we'll be, working with the city on review and comment here in the next couple of weeks. 2 system plans, no major changes there. Ryan's reviewing the drafts that will be provided to him. And we, as a team, met with Ryan on Monday as well, on the things we're working on moving forward. And then city standards, still moving forward, meeting with city engineer in the next couple of weeks on one status update.
And then our intent with the stormwater plan and the water system plan is we'll provide that to both of you as well. If not before November's mini meeting, we'll get it to you then as well. The question will be, would you like electronic or a printed out copy? But they won't be as long of documents, but we'll get those to you. And then we'll probably just provide a quick high level overview of major elements of those during the Public Works Committee meeting in November. I do have the general printed out ready for you guys as well. We'll talk to that a little bit later.
Anything else on engineering?
Mostly not questions.
Okay, moving on to project management.
Good afternoon. So I'll first update you on the Ording Emergency Evacuation Bridge. Michaels is back on site this week to finish installation of the substructure shafts, and that's going well. Quig Brothers is finishing up forming the deck with the rebar, and concrete will be poured either next Thursday or Friday. They're hoping for Thursday, depending on weather. And work continues on the east side to construct the elevated walkway and ramp. So everything's moving along really well on the bridge. Kansas Street Southwest, we are just putting the last final touches on the plan sets to bid. And we're planning on bidding that on Monday, just pending approval from TIB. They have to sign off on our bid authorization. We need to get that to them. So we plan to present at the November Public Works Committee meeting, the meeting for the contract for construction, an amendment to Parametrics contract for engineering support during the construction phase. And we're also having on-call construction management and inspection. We did an RFQ. We got 2 respondents. We're working through negotiations and we plan to have that at the November meeting. They will do construction management on Kansas. If we're able to hire a city inspector, they will work with our city inspector. If not, they are going to scope for inspection services, but we can deduct that if we get a city inspector. So we're just trying to build the team for Kansas. So you'll see that stuff coming forward in November. The way that the construction management on-call contract is going to work is there's going to be a master contract. The limit is 2 million over a 2-year term with a 1-year option to extend. Then we will issue task orders. So Kansas Street will get a task order. So a portion of that 2 million will be moved to that task order and we'll manage that task order budget for Kansas Street Southwest. And then we'll have other room in their contract for other projects that come up. So just to kind of explain how the master contract works with the task orders. And then we don't know where the bids are going to come in, but since we don't have a laydown area for the contractor to use, the bids could be a little higher just because they could lose in efficiency if they have to find space that's far from the project. And they may have to pass a lease cost on to the city. So that could affect the bids, and we cannot use Kansas Street Southwest as laydown because it's residential. So we'll just see where the bids come in. Once we know where the bids are at, Ryan will go back to TIB and we'll see if they can help us fill the funding gap and then we'll know what we're doing. So we're so close on Kansas. It's going to be going out in the next week for sure.
That's the old city shop you're talking about then?
No, I think we-
Well, that has the Daffodil Parade float in
Okay.
it, so we won't be able to use that. But we think that like their workers should be able to still park there in the day as long as we write something in there that they can't block access to the float, that type of stuff. So we're trying to figure out where a laydown area is going to be for them.
Does the parking lot at the river on either side, there's a little bit of parking they could park on, or there's that lot on the left side of the Calistoga Bridge. Is that feasible?
We did ask, City Administrator Larson and said, no, the Calistoga Park right there.
Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the nicest baseball field in town. So if maybe we were able to work something out to where we could use it for the laydown and then at the completion, put a new baseball field in there. Cause that's not expensive, leave the backstop and all that, but just redo the landscaping. Just a thought.
That's a good idea.
That's what I was thinking. I'm hurt. We built that field. Hurt my feelings.
It looks great.
It still looks nice.
Past tense.
And it's never wet.
Yeah, we have been trying to actively figure out a solution to a laydown yard area and all of that, but.
I mean, I think that's a win-win. If
Yeah,
that
that's
could
a
be
good idea.
done.
We
Just
could
a
try
thought.
that.
Yeah, if we could find out how much it's actually used and if we can find another spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody uses it because of the insurance requirements, because it's usually got a bunch of weeds and stuff, so you take a bad hop. So the league, I know BLS was trying to use it and then
We don't, it's not a reservable entity, so that field right there is not listed as one of our reservable or paid for facility rentals. So we don't do that, but it does get used quite a bit on a first come, first serve basis. People out there with their kids, working on their skills, things like that, but it's not one of the fields that we've ever rented out.
Okay.
We even thought about well two because it's not an actively used well. So we're looking into it. If you have any more ideas, let us know. So we're trying to figure out a laydown area for the contractor.
well, there's that huge lot right behind the city shop.
Mhm.
And it's I think it's an Asian family that owns it, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's the Wang parcel.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's accessible, but if that could be accessible and all they had to do was pass through the city shop area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge space that I'm sure
Mhm.
it just sits there and they're paying property tax on it. They probably wouldn't mind getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
But-
So we have some options. We'll figure it out. So do you have any questions on Kansas before I move on?
So when did the bids go out?
We haven't put the bid out yet. So Parametrics is incorporating our last comments. I expect them to get back to us probably today or tomorrow. And then I have to get it to Transportation Improvement Board for our engineer on the grant side to sign off before we can bid it. So if all goes as planned, we plan to have the bid out Monday.
Okay.
And it'll be on Builders Exchange and the city's website and Tacoma News Tribune.
Okay. Any other places?
Those were the ones we were planning on.
Okay. I'm just
Open
thinking
to
we
others.
Cast a wider net, more bidders. but-
We can look into it.
Okay.
Yep, we're definitely trying to get the word out there. So Safe Streets for All, the consultant has developed a branding guide and a survey that will be launched soon for the month of October into November. And there's a public involvement plan that we'll be presenting to the October Advisory Committee meeting. The city will have a booth at the Harvest Festival and we'll do some public outreach and try to get people to engage in our survey. The survey is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a map where a person can put a comment on an intersection and tell us about what's unsafe about it. So it's going to be really interactive. And then there'll be a way to export those comments into like an Excel spreadsheet. And the website has been updated as well. The Foothills Trail realignment and safety enhancements, we're just waiting on WashDOT to give us concurrence to execute the contract with the consultant. So we really haven't gotten started there, and staff will have I will have an information booth at the Harvest Festival. We'll have some information on Foothills Trail realignment too. And that's all for my updates. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Is there a meeting for Safe Streets or something that I'm supposed to go to?
It's October 24th at 1 o'clock. And that's the advisory committee.
Yep. Okay, thanks. I
And you
just
can
couldn't-
join on Teams or you can come to the shop, either one. But we'll be at the public workshop for that. one.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, I see we have a blue light special down by the crane. What, did they supply that? Or we having to pay for that or?
Michael supplied it, I'm sure.
Okay.
They had that on their last crane too. I think it's for
Oh, okay.
vibration.
Yeah, it's, looks like one of those,
Like from Kmart.
Parking lot.
no,
security
parking
cameras.
lot security things.
Oh,
They've provided that.
yeah.
It was not on the site until I think last week.
Mhm.
Right, that was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, they typically haven't had one of those.
Okay.
out there.
So that's theirs and we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
on-
that's theirs.
We didn't request it. Okay, just checking. Blue light special. I know, I knew you would think of that.
Took me a second, but I.
Thank you, thanks. That
Yeah,
was it.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
Comprehensive plan updates. Biggest one is. Got to the sewer plan. For you guys, whichever one wants, whichever one. I did throw a note on the cover page there that this is the final draft that was sent over to Ecology. As part of a funding request. Do the biopole utility project. It was pretty lengthy. There's about 327 or so pages in there. To highlight specific locations, really you probably want to look at section 4. There will be a portion where it's talking about the existing plant and the existing collection system. It's a nice color coded, all in one pager, and we'll have an assessment of all of the plant existing facilities. And
That's all of section 4?
it should be in section 4.
Page
Yeah,
4.
I see it, existing sanitary evaluation. So what you're talking about?
Yeah, so you'll see stuff along this lines.
Okay.
In a couple of spots, a little bit farther, I think, in 4.3.
Okay.
You'll see the actual valuation of the sewer treatment facility.
Okay.
And it'll have their recommended timelines and the CIP information in there as well, so the capital improvement program as presented. So at this point, it's in ecology's hand, startup clock for them to get their review done. I want to say they have 90 days to review and provide comments back to Wilson and us, and then we can incorporate those to eventually go to the full final. So the intent is for us to, as a city council, get to the point where we adopt all of our comprehensive planning documents. And then the CIPs for each of those different documents will be incorporated into the utility rate study that was approved last week. Do you guys have any questions?
Not yet.
And I would say there is a lot of information in there. I would probably say about the last half of that, you'll see a lot of maps of the system for the collection. There are some areas in there where we do need to do a little bit more investigation to find out if we have actual infiltration and inflow based on the 20-25 year modeling is showing. So we'll have some work in there that will massage to get it into the right year grouping for work, essentially.
So right, so this is the main thing, we got it to Department of Ecology, so now they got 90 days so we can see what we might have to fix or adjust.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to make sure that you guys have that information and we'll be the same with the other two comprehensive plans.
Anything to add on that one?
No,
Okay, we'll move on to finance. I don't know if is there anything pressing that we need to cover since Ms. Motor is not here? today?
No, not that I'm aware of. The one question that we had before was how would a government shutdown affect any of these things that we have going on? And the short answer is we just don't really know until we get there, until they tell us or something is affected. So it's just kind of a waiting game. So fingers crossed that it's a very short-lived shutdown.
thank you.
New business, AB 2588 evacuation bridge. I think we've covered this one quite a bit. I don't have any questions on that. If Member Hogan, if you've got anything?
No, we, well, so is there any, are we gonna see any additional engineering fees for this at all? No? Because okay, that's one of my questions. And then, I would say let's go to a study session with it. Huh?
I think we discussed it. We don't really have a
Right.
choice, so.
Yeah, we got to do it. I mean, the state requires it. I mean, we got to catch 22 as you. Okay. Okay, Laura, that good? Thank you.
And in this case, they come back and say, hey, we shall.
Okay, AB 2593 Lagoon Solids Pump and Haul Contract. Didn't we cover this like 2 years ago? Well, I guess
It's,
Goods were pumped and hauled in 2018.
I had 2016 to 2018 on my notes. I couldn't remember if I was here right before I was here.
because I remember we had a conversation about this and there was an issue with like insurance and hauling it over to Eastern Washington and there was a spill. Maybe if you guys got the history.
I think, so I recollect that we did have a conversation about it, but it was just general informational knowledge. We never really went anywhere with it. I think it was around the time we started talking about originally updating the biosolids facility and getting a whole new wastewater treatment plant over there. But I think that was just part of the initial conversations of what the risks were if we dredged the lagoon and how that might work and things like that. So you're not crazy. We did
Right.
talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know about,
Yeah.
I'd go that far,
We
but
Yeah.
talked about the risks associated with
Right.
the biosolids.
It was a non-action thing. It was just information from
Yes.
staff and
actually I do remember that now. I think it was a matter of processing it versus letting it settle in the lagoons.
Mhm.
And processing it would eliminate the lagoons, thus the need to truck it.
Correct.
Okay.
Um, And what you're recalling as far as the spill goes and talking with JC, the contractor that was hired back in 2018, one of the drivers took a load home. And because the passes were closed and kind of shut down, they elected to try to traverse over the mountain range on a non-approved route. And encountered some icy conditions, ended up spilling the load. And it was on the contractor to do all of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, JC.
Yeah, their whole route was over, Snoqualmie Pass. And then I had received a call that there was a spill on over Highway 2. So I quickly called the owner of the business and said, you have a problem, you're off your haul route, you spilled. So that luckily they obviously took ownership of it. Remedied it, but obviously it was all the way to Ecology was who called me. To report. They didn't follow their spill cleanup plan. There was a lot of things that they did not follow the contract.
But once they broke the contract with us, it kind of set us aside a little bit. I mean, for when litigation would come in for all the cleanup and everything.
Yeah, there wasn't, I mean, I'll give the company credit, they took full ownership of it, cleaned it up and, dealt with the ecology and all that, and so. My conversation was, I don't have a problem, you have a problem, and I don't wanna hear about it again.
Right.
So that's where it pretty much ended with that, so. Luckily, we did have the haul route and, all the, measures in place for protection of the city.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we've taken those lessons learned from the 2018 edition and added that in here as well. So we really want to just make sure that we got it in front of you guys so we can continue to move it forward. The Department of Ecology would like us to get a little bit more freeboard space in the lagoon by doing this type of project. Just so you're aware, we did get it out to bid or out to advertisement on September 29th. And I've already had several folks reach out, ask a couple clarifying questions. So there's definitely interest to participate in helping us with our biosolids in the lagoon itself. So
Yeah, and that's,
Ecology actually provided us with the names of 4 potential locations that would be able to treat it. One of them we reached out to, which was King County South Plant, they did say no. They
Yeah.
have several other options out there still available. I'm optimistic that we'll get some couple interested parties in there so we can move that one forward. We're not actually going to be dredging the lagoon itself. We're just going to be pumping all of the biosolids and everything out. At the same time, we're also going to kind of reset the curtains in between the 2 different cells. Their anchor points have gotten a little bit old, a little rusted. A couple have actually come apart. So we're going to reset those curtains that allow the solids to pass from one chamber to the other as part of that. And if we're able to pump everything we can out of cell 3, the big large cell, those 2 smaller ones will either also be pumped or they'll at the very least be pumped over into cell 3 so they can just naturally settle and kind of let the bacteria do their thing. So that's kind of the intent behind it. Just want to keep it moving forward. We anticipate having a bidder awarded essentially October 13th, probably 14th is what we're looking at, and then get that into the study session. So that way we keep moving forward.
So question, since we're looking at building a new facility and it's gone 7 years, is it possible to hold this off until we get to that point or not? Reason I'm asking is because do we spend $500,000 to turn around and spend $500,000 in 2 years when we do build it?
So Ecology wants us to get after it now to give us that extra space as well. So the Ecology Biosolids guy is aware of our plan to potentially construct a biosolids facility itself. Once the plant were to come online for treating our own biosolids, everything will get pumped into the digester basins that are attached to the plant during construction. And then at that point, there'd be no more need to pump or transfer any of our lagoon solids to anybody else at that point. If it's the council's decision to invest in the current plant without adding the biosolids treatment process into the mix, which is not permitted requirements at this point in time. There would still be a need down the road for periodic pumping and hauling over dredging of the lagoon over time. So I just want to make sure
Just
you
less
have
frequently, right?
all of that information. You're looking at a significant investment in that biosolids facility itself versus dredging every 3 or 4 years, depending on what that biosolids load looks like. In the review, and JC can probably speak a little bit more to that, because he's been a part of the process a lot longer than I have here at the city. But dredging the lagoon, pumping those biosolids is a relatively urgent need. I'm not going to say it's an emergency at this point in time, but we want to get there before we have any real significant Pineapple Express rainstorms and stuff along that lines. We have lots of space in the lagoon right now, but those biosolids actually hinder our ability to take any more rainwater as we traditionally would be able.
Yeah, you said we're not dredging, is that correct? We're just gonna pump,
Correct. They'll have a pump that will go down.
vacuum kinda?
Vacuum pumping it out into a vac truck essentially, and then they'll haul everything away. They're gonna take all the liquid, all of the solids, everything. We're having them do the mathematical calculations for dry tons of material. That way we can accurately do everything.
Is there an opportunity in that process to isolate a chamber, clean it to the point where you can at least visually inspect it? Or is it just not that clean a process?
Unfortunately,
There's not a watertight barrier between any of the cells, it's just a curtain, so, to get down to the liner, you have to de-water the entire, including the entire basement.
And you can't bypass the lagoons to go dry. I'm not familiar with the design, so.
and really what you're looking at is drew a rudimentary drawing of one of the cells and its curtain. It has a space where the solids can actually move to the other side.
Sure.
Throughout it, so just to give you an idea of what you're looking at there. It'd be nice, but not necessarily what's possible. When the biosolids facility does get constructed in and of itself and the lagoon is therefore decommissioned, we won't decommission the entire lagoon because you still need surge capacity at the headworks for severe weather events. So the area closest to the headworks would get redone essentially and increased in size, probably about 10 or 15% to make up that freeboard space. So that way we can pump anything that is above typical daily flows back to the headworks and through the treatment process when the storm events have passed.
It also provides redundancy at your headworks, because the culture requires some form of, we call it, N+1 at all points within a treatment plant. And so if your headworks screens or pumps were to go down, right now it's designed to overflow into that section of the lagoon. And so the design is maintaining that overflow capability. And then like Ryan said, pump back to the headworks, that means your N+1 requirements for metrology.
Any questions?
So, we're budgeted for 500K and, we don't know. I think a lot of it will depend on where we're having to truck it, correct?
That's
For,
correct. The couple of interested parties, or should say, a couple of the plant locations that were given to us by Ecology are like Shelton's plant. And then there were 2 others that were close by.
You've got biorecycling, and it's biorecycling Northridge.
Yep. And they may find some other locations.
This is
that
one
will-
in Sumner as well,
really?
yeah.
So they take the product and refine it down to solids, right? And then they truck it or, okay, so it gets handled twice after they take it from us.
This might be a silly question, but we know we have to buy dryers for the new facility. Is there a mechanism in which we could have a temporary facility at a cost of $500,000 to truck this out and then have to go buy a dryer anyway? And we're gonna have to build a building. Is there any cost benefit to buying the dryers now, having a temporary building, even just a cheap metal building, where we can then process the lagoon contents ourselves?
So there's a two-step process there. You've got to de-water it. So you've got to actually put it through basically a screw press, squeeze all that water out, and then you would have to put it in through the dryer. But there's one other component that we're not talking too much about as far as the equipment it goes, is time. In order for it to become a Class A biosolid, it has to have 45 days of treatment time in a digester in order for it to be approved as a Class A.
Or if we just go for a class B?
And even for a Class B, to have it be land applied, it's not having that amount of retention time. So everything that's in the lagoon cell 3 right now would technically meet a Class B once it's de-watered. So it very well could be something like that. The dryer itself, you're looking at almost $3 million in just the dryer itself, equipment wise. That doesn't include the electrical that would have to go to it, the natural gas in order to heat everything so it can properly dry those solids. If we were going to a Class A, but a Class B, you wouldn't need the dryer. All you would really need would be the equipment to dry the solids to where they're about a moist cake, essentially.
So I recall that we were in the $1 million price point for the screw presses, for the FKC screw presses, when we were going through this evolution 2 years ago. So did they
Yeah.
go up to
Well,
3
there's two
million?
pieces of equipment, so you either have a centrifuge or screw press to squeeze the water out to prepare it for the dryer. The dryer is what gets you with your time and temperature to a Class A biosol. So when we dredged the lagoons in 2018, the outfit that did come up out of Texas, brought trailer mounted centrifuges and put them on site, set them up, squeeze the water out and trucked. That is, cost to bring that up on site is one cost, or you haul it as sludge. And pay the trucking cost, because trucking, it's expensive to haul the raw sludge with water. So some contractors will like to dry it on site versus hauling raw sludge.
Because my question is that regardless, we're gonna buy a screw press, whether it's 1 million or 3 million. So, or a centrifuge, whichever's landed upon. So we're gonna buy a dryer. But if we can buy that dryer now and trailer mount it and run it that way, we can potentially save maybe not the whole $500,000, but a big chunk of that. I don't know,
Taking a dryer or a thickener.
well, we were talking about a dryer, but
So I think the dryer, itself, so you have to thicken before going to a dryer. Pulling straight out of the lagoon, you have to, usually thicken through, like Ryan said, go through digestion, thicken through a centrifuge or belt filter press or screw press, and then go to the dryer itself. Dryer itself, I don't know what Wilson has. It's gonna require probably a 2-inch gas service. Power associated with it as well.
So according to the 60% cost estimate I'm looking at right now, your dewatering equipment package, which is the screw press and discharge conveyor, 556,000 along that lines.
You also, for your dewatering process, you'll need, likely polymer pumps to create, essentially a flock, so you get better performance out of it, so polymer totes and pumps associated with that, which are probably, just.
so would it be reasonable to request a cost benefit analysis based on we already know what a lot of the equipment costs are. We know that there's gonna be some anomalies as far as cost, because if we're temporarily mounting something, there's the mount and dismount and then reinstallation. There's temporary utilities that have to be installed, power, gas, monitoring, all those sorts of things. But if the net is gonna be $5 million, if we pump the lagoon and then build the building and put all that stuff in, or it's 5.2 million to do a temporary system, it'd be worth 2 million because you're gonna have a net gain of $300,000. I don't know what those numbers are, and that's very difficult to figure out just sitting here. But if we at least had if we went through the evolution of doing the cost benefit analysis so that we could see that as a council to make a call as to, well, do we want to spend an extra couple 100,000 here to save it down the road?
Right.
At least we go into it with our eyes wide open.
I guess the other question we have to consider is how much the Department of Ecology is pressing us to make that change, and if we've been given any definitive timelines. Constructing a whole nother building might take a while. I have no idea.
There's
It might take a
some
while.
rules associated with ecology that you'll need. Well, obviously someone has to operate it, and then how are you gonna truck it? Is the city trucking that material that you're providing, or you have a contractor going to right truck? And there's a bit of logistics there to figure out.
I mean,
Ecology given us a timeline, or is it just they'd like to see it soon is what they've said so far?
They want it done before the nature releases.
yeah, I mean, we can do a cost benefit analysis probably within a week. Have it for study session. We can move this forward, but, and again, it would be a rough order of magnitude. Nobody's expecting you guys to go out and solicit bids and get hard numbers, but I think it would be prudent for us to at least know, it might not be, maybe it's a horrible idea, but at least we explored it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I can work with Wilson Engineering and just ask them, for a high level. Hey, we did this versus this. And what that would look like over, say, 5 years. Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks. Anything else on the lagoon? So both of these are moving forward to study session. We'll discuss further there. And then anything else on lagoon, solids pump and whole contract? Okay, I have nothing to add. Do you, sir?
Not that I can think of, no.
Actually, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Roundtable review, final comments section. Red Hat Days. So when I saw the map that came out last night or the night before, they're gonna go down Van Scoyac for the parade route this year.
Yeah, that was their change.
Was it? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so they're closing the main highway for a portion of it, which is almost a good chunk of their event, if not the whole event. Where they're gonna have their car show, kind of like the Kingsmen had their setup, but they are doing their parade on Van Scoyac at their request.
Okay. And then there was something going on with North Park that they were not using that for Red Hat Days this year? Or is that,
No,
okay. I heard it through the grapevine, so I was just trying to wrap my head around.
yeah, no, we actually had someone that wanted to rent that facility, the ording station, but we don't allow anyone to rent facilities and we have big events going on in town, because then it gets too many people shoved down into here. But no, it's part of their event as far as I know.
Okay. And then on Friday, I know last year the event was there was cars parked up and down Washington and it was kind of a mess. It didn't get street swept. And just wondering if we have a plan for that this year to make sure that there's no parking on Washington, and that can we sweep the streets, blow the sidewalks, everything? is
Yeah,
squared
so
away?
it's up to the event organizer to initially get out those no parking signs, and we've advised them that they need to go out tomorrow. So the no parking sign should start being seen in town as early as tomorrow. Street sweeping, that's a Ryan question. I would assume it's on the radar.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just had a meeting earlier today with PD and Public Works was there and all of that stuff, kind of firming up the last little parts of it. We'll have 2 maintenance workers working the event. They'll be there to help Police will have their typical coverage that they usually have for events and things like that. Michelle will also be in town for a good chunk of the event.
Yeah, I know last year, I think you were just getting started and it came and so. Okay,
Yeah, I am tracking that, use the street sweeping around as well. Typically that street sweeping just across the city in general, usually happens that first full week.
okay.
I like seeing the post sometimes. The street sweepers in the hood, everyone move your cars. That happens in my neighborhood anyways, which no one moves their cars, but I like it.
Help us know whose cars don't.
Yeah, there's weeds growing around it.
We got a couple of those.
Okay, well, it sounds like we're good to go. Both items are moving forward, so if we have nothing else, we'll adjourn.
Thank you. We cool, Laura? Thank you.